Welcome back, pod people, to the last episode of Samurai Month. I'm your host, Justin Morgan, and I'm here with
Chuck
and our guest,
K. Jacob of IPA Sessions.
Honorary guest, K. Jacob. You've been here all month, and it's been nice. I mean, this episode's at the beginning. It could go to hell, I guess, but it's been nice so far. The last three.
I've enjoyed the selection of movies because, as I stated, other than my pick, which was Lady Snowblood, I have not watched any of these films, but I've always been aware of them. They've been on my radar, and I'm really glad I watched them. And I can honestly say I've really enjoyed them in sequential order, with the exception of Lady Snowblood. That's still my absolute favorite. But I really enjoyed watching them in the order we watched them.
Maybe if we watch something chronologically, if it was in a series, I think that's... Didn't we do that for Star Wars, Chuck? Did we start with the prequels, or did we do them in release order? We might have done release.
I think we did release order, actually, if I'm remembering right.
I think it's the best way because you see, like, even if it's a prequel, if the prequel comes out after another movie, they assume the audience already knows this and that, so I feel like it's wise to watch things in release order if you can. And you see the history a little bit, which is why...
Tends to help.
We didn't necessarily save the best for last. I think this is a good movie, but we saved the oldest for last. 1985's Ran.
You mean the newest?
Newest, I guess it would be the newest. The longest. Maybe the longest,
sure.
I should have said.
Boy, what a happy picture. But it is nice because we end this month with the man who started it all, the one who gave us samurai films. And I think that's pretty awesome.
He's not the first, but he's the best.
Let me rephrase that then. We're ending the month on the man who made samurai films what samurai films are. If it wasn't for him, we really wouldn't have what we had.
We wouldn't have The Last Samurai. We wouldn't have any of that.
Yeah, you wouldn't even have 47 Ronin. Like you wouldn't have any of these amazing samurai movies that are Americanized, aka bastardized for American audiences. You know, you wouldn't have Kill Bill. It always comes back to Kill Bill.
You might have Kill Bill.
Potentially.
It's a huge possibility. For the record, we talked about this in the past, that we were talking about this movie. And this is Akira Kurosawa's last samurai film, but he makes 3 more movies after this.
Okay, so it is his last samurai film, and it's one of, I believe, 2 or 3 movies he ever did in color, correct?
He's done a handful in color, because like Redbeard was in color. And Dreams was in color. There's at least 5 or 6 in color. I don't know when he would have started.
Okay.
Kagemusha, I think's in color. It's like,
yeah. So it's only 3 samurai films that are in color then.
Not a ton of them are in color.
Yeah, because he was pulling the Hitchcock thing where he was still using black and white film when color was clearly available.
Yeah, even in the 70s.
Yeah, everyone thinks their movies are older and they're not. Also, for anybody that's not a fan of samurai, but is a huge fan of William Shakespeare, this is based on a William Shakespeare play, King Lear.
100%. Which, by the way, I have to say, after watching this movie, I might check out that play. This was pretty fucking good. I really enjoyed this. Everyone dies. Let's just open with that. Spoiler for a 1985 movie. Everyone dies. It's fantastic.
There's some survivors.
It is classic Shakespearean tragedy, and they're all fucking idiots, and I loved it.
They're not all idiots.
They're all idiots, and I watched them all spell their
idiot.
doom. No, they're all idiots. Every choice, every decision they made took them to their death, and that guy did not survive. He's clearly implied he had a horrible death. He had to kill himself like a little bitch.
You don't know that. I mean, odds weren't in his favor.
It's implied. It's Shakespeare. Everyone dies.
It's a tragedy, so
well, hey,
things probably didn't work out too well.
Let's do the fun synopsis, short or long version.
Give me the 3-hour version, please.
King Lear. Well, that's the Shakespearean King Lear play, is the 3-hour version.
And not his longest movie either. His longest is still Seven Samurai, I think. It's like 3.5 hours. Is
it 3.5? I thought it was like a straight 3. But that makes sense. This was only about 2 hours and 30 minutes, I believe, right?
I'm under the impression that every year, Seven Samurai gets like 2 minutes longer.
Oh, because they keep adding. That's what it is. They're like the
I'm kidding.
official
I'm kidding
director's release.
For clarity, I'm kidding. I know
I
the
know.
runtime hasn't changed.
No, it hasn't.
I don't want Jacob to be like, oh yeah, they definitely had 2 minutes every year.
No,
just
they do.
slowly
They
gets
do.
longer.
Every year they keep adding and re-releasing the director's final cut, and it's like the director's final cut.
Final cut
Yeah.
from the grave. Definitely found new notes. They did re-release a 4K cut this year.
Yeah, it looks really pretty.
You saw it?
Yeah.
Oh, you just saw the ads, or did you see it?
Sorry, let me clarify. I saw the ads. There's a trailer.
Oh, okay.
4K restoration trailer. It looks really pretty. It's like super crisp.
It almost looks a little bit better than this. Like, I do like the color in this because he really uses the color to his advantage. It really helps the audience know who the hell they're looking at in any given time, depending on what army's which.
This is probably the most colorful movie I've ever seen, with a brilliant use of color, almost in the same way that Pleasantville had a bright, beautiful use of color. Except it doesn't do the whole Wizard of Oz thing. It's straight up color, not black and white at any point. But it's so vibrant. Anyway, sorry. The synopsis that we're speaking of for 1985's Ron, just kidding, for Ran, is in medieval Japan, an elderly warlord retires, handing over his empire to his 3 sons. However, he vastly underestimates how the newfound power will corrupt them and cause them to turn on each other and him. Dun, dun, dun. And we all saw it coming a mile away.
Yeah, the old man, it actually feels like current events almost, where he's gotten up there in age, he's been there for so long. The little bit we do get of his past, where he's been basically like
A very
warlord.
brutal warlord.
Yeah,
brutal
he's-
warlord. They hint at how he ruled with an iron fist.
Yeah.
Burning everyone's house down.
Everybody's life has been touched by him in some sort of way, whether it's positive or negative.
And it all plays into the plot,
It's
which
pretty
is very
much
well
negative.
done. Yeah, it's all negative. What's that saying? It's like, it's not respect, it's fear.
Yeah. I mean, a few people get some positions of high power from it, but, you know, they may or may not want to seek revenge, so they shouldn't be there. I mean, I think the only person that genuinely likes him, well, there's a handful, I guess, but his jester person, I don't know what to call that guy, the entertainer.
I don't even know if that guy likes him. I think he's just like, he doesn't know what else to do without him.
Yeah. And that actor was great. I really liked. It was hard for me
Peter.
to tell if it was boy or
Was
girl.
that Peter?
Like, I like the.
That was
the
Peter.
blend-
Come on.
Peter who?
Just Peter.
Peter.
Just
So we're in the
Peter?
credits, there's a bunch of Japanese names and their characters, and then there's one Japanese name that just says Peter.
I love that. That's great.
No last name, just Peter.
That's got to be the jester.
Yes.
I hope so.
Well, and I think the actor, because it looks like the actor might have been, or the part might have been played by a woman, which is kind of popular in Shakespearean for women parts to be played by men. So I thought it was neat if it is a female actress playing the part of a male. But maybe that's just me.
Nope,
Maybe it's just
it's
they
just a
made him
very
look
gay
unisex. Well, I think they made him very unisex looking, like androgynous. That's the word. Sorry.
You were turned
androgynous.
on by him, just say it.
He was a handsome androgynous fella. Oh, speaking of the main guy, the old guy, the elder, that's go ahead, Justin. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, anti-feminist maybe, Akira Kurosawa, changing the roles of women to men.
It would have been progressive.
It wouldn't match the times. It wouldn't match the samurai times. Although he does give some good roles to the women. He gives one good role to a woman.
Oh yeah, that scary bitch. Oh, she's great.
Yeah, and she's not really wrong for what she does either.
No, not at all. I respect it. I was like, she's smart, she's clever, and she's scary.
I mean, she
I
does have
respect
that guy's wife murdered for no reason whatsoever.
it. No, it's all for revenge. She's also plotting revenge. Everyone's plotting revenge.
Yeah, but she doesn't need revenge against that woman. That woman didn't do anything to
That
her.
was
It was
tradition.
just it was just to bring him down. It was to fuck with him. It was great. Just to.
It was his
make
real
him-
wife.
She's like,
It's
"You
quicker
fucked
than
me, now we have to
divorce.
kill your wife. Yep.
Everyone knows that, Chuck. Murder is way quicker than divorce.
And she also knows how revenge
I
works.
mean, I've seen
so.
Dateline, I know.
So yeah, Lord, help me with it. You're better with the pronunciation.
Hide Toro.
Hide Toro. He was great, and that is, of course, Tetsuya Nakadai. I probably butchered that as well, but he makes a return, which you pointed out to me, and I didn't realize it because of all the great makeup. But I feel like every time we watch him, he's in great makeup. I can never guess his age. I
He
think
plays
he's
70, but he might be like, I don't know, 50s at this
Yeah.
point.
and he plays
Probably.
40 when he's like 20. So he's really great in stage makeup, old school stage makeup. It's great.
Yes. Yeah. This movie at the time, it was the most expensive film ever made. I don't think just in Japan. Maybe it was just Japan.
I think just Japan. I think Hollywood probably already destroyed that budget with something else.
Like Gone with the Wind or something.
Yeah.
Because the extras are insane in this movie.
God, but it looks so good.
The costumes look great. I mean,
that's another thing too. Not only was it like an actual 1,000 people in the background, they were all in colorful, elaborate armor and gear and flags everywhere. It was so cool.
And the shots for the most part are very smooth. The only like really ugly ones that stand out is some of the first shots where they're chasing the boars and the grass is blowing in the wind and the boars are running by, but there's clear cuts to make the 3 boars look that they're hunting look as
like
if
they're close together.
Yeah, his eyesight wasn't too great around this time, from my understanding. So he relied on a lot of other people. Yeah, well, he did Macbeth. He adapted Macbeth. This might just be his second one because he did another one, but I think it's a play.
Bad Sleep Well is based on one, but I don't remember which one it is.
Is High and Low one too?
No, there was only 3. The 2 were Samurai, and the other was Bad Sleep Well, but I don't remember what the name of the Shakespeare thing was. Oh,
Yeah.
Hamlet.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, that was Hamlet.
Yeah.
Throne of Blood was Macbeth, and Bad Sleep Well was Hamlet, and this is King Lear. He did 3.
And then he did one play from like a contemporary playwright. So he
I think
does
that's
like
his last
adapting.
movie.
He
I
does
think
I think his last movie was a play.
Yeah, I think that's pretty cool though that he's adapting Shakespearean plays into these films. And normally, you know, we were talking about how like samurai films have influenced and inspired these westerns, yet you have old English Shakespearean plays inspiring these awesome, epic samurai films. And they transition really well. I think it plays really well. It works. It 100% works, and it was really good. The acting alone was great. And I know that they were speaking, well, I watched it without dubs, so I know they were speaking Japanese, but I felt like the way they would talk and deliver, it felt like it had a Shakespearean, if I was to see this in English, like that Shakespearean style delivery, like fetch me thy long sword, you know, it felt like that. Even though they were speaking Japanese, it was just how it was like the rhythm, something about the sound to me, it felt like they were kind of giving it a poetic style. And maybe I'm just overthinking it, but that's what I felt.
You can be, but you're allowed to interpret it any way you wish. I
just
liked
a
how
really
his
great
makeup
film.
didn't look realistic, but kind of looked like the kabuki makeup from
He
this stage plays they did back in the day. Like it had a very painted kind of look.
Yeah,
made
he
up
very
kinda.
much looked like a pale corpse throughout the entire movie. Which why every time he would take a nap, I was like, "Did he die? Is he finally dead?" And it's like, "Nope, he's still sleeping."
And his mind
poke
wavers.
the body, see if he's breathing.
There's a few times where they're like, "Is he mad?" I'm like, "Fuck yeah, he's mad. He's clearly insane."
Oh yeah, he lost his shit, but he brought it on himself.
He did
and
bring
that's
it
the
on
thing I
himself.
like too with this story. And again, you have to forgive me, anyone that's listening, or you guys, if you're aware of King Lear. I am not. My cousin's probably gonna be upset with me. I'm not a big fan of Shakespeare, so I'm not really familiar with King Lear. But this story was really cool, and it's very simple. Again, we watch another movie that has a lot going on and telling this epic tale, while at the same time everything is very simple. It's easy to retain. It's easy to understand. I love the opening with the 3 sons and their father, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm going to retire. I'm going to put your oldest brother in charge, and you 2 are going to take the other 2 small castles, and you're going to have each other's back, and everything's going to be butterflies and rainbows. It's going to be fucking great." And the little son was like, "Yeah, no, I don't think that's a good idea. I don't think it should happen that way because we're all capable of corruption." And like, I like that he calls it out, and so like, the dad gets mad and banishes him, and the other 2 sons are kissing his ass, and then they're the first ones to immediately turn on him and start killing each other. It's ridiculously wild.
He did try to teach his sons the same lesson as Caesar in Planet of the Apes. You know, ape alone, not strong. Ape together, very strong.
Mm-hmm.
He tried to teach that lesson and didn't go well.
Yeah. Well, Chuck, you weren't here for Planet of the Apes, the newest one, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. It's now ape stronger together.
Yes.
That's the new phrase now, because they lost that language. They lost the original Caesar's tale. So this is what they have now: ape stronger together.
He did see the movie. He just wasn't on the episode.
I'm just being a
Lower Depths is the movie that I was thinking of. Lower Depths was adapted. That's not a Shakespeare. It was a contemporary person that I should probably know, but I don't.
Nah.
But everyone likes Shakespeare, so you have to go back to that. I do like his train of thought, how they get the boar and they're like, are we going to roast that boar? He's like, it's a little on the old side. Just like me. Maybe it's time for me to retire. Like that's the quick version. That's the, if you're familiar with Shakespeare, it's the Spark Notes version.
Yeah, remember the Yellow Notes?
Yellow Notes, yeah. They probably just have the internet now.
It's just on Wikipedia.
Old-fashioned Yellow Notes.
AI tells them what they need to know.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's all backwards.
Tell me the themes of this.
Going back to what I was saying about like them just starting all this chaos. I will say I called them all idiots, and for the longest time I was like, the youngest son, he was the smartest one because he stayed away. But then he had to come back, and that's why I called him an idiot too. Everyone makes these choices of like, let me go back and do something. It's like, no.
He was the most sensible one, but he was also banished, so...
Well, he was banished for being sensible because it angered his father. Then his two older brothers decided to have a war, and they kill each other. I love that. Like, they all, like, they immediately start, like, just devising these plans to basically take it all. And it's like, what I don't get is, like, you had it all. You just had to share it and work together. And they're like, nah, fuck that. I want it all.
I mean, that makes sense. I mean, it's essentially a condensed version of Game of Thrones. The throne becomes available, and now it's a fight for that throne. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of people that have an opinion on who should be on that throne and how it should go. But one of my favorite things about this is the sons. There's the three sons, and the color coding in this is actually pretty crazy. How Hideo Tara, the main character, the old man,
it's always in white.
Isn't he the great leader? Is that what they call him?
Yeah, the great
He's
leader.
Like golden white. He's a mixture of that throughout the whole thing, and then he kind of becomes just straight up white. I think it's like innocence as his memory is going, but then his sons are yellow, red,
and Balrog at some point, and that's how he became the great leader, the white.
Yeah, he actually does. When he's standing up on the hill, it does. Like, I'm sure Peter Jackson probably stole that shot, more or less. When they all come to the top of the hill at the end of the movie,
samurai films inspire everyone.
He probably was like, "Oh, it'd be cool if they ran down that hill and just attacked." But
yeah, you were saying the sons, they all had unique colors.
They're not even just colors. Like, I thought their flags were interesting too because
they all have different symbols. There's like a sun, a quarter moon, and a half moon.
I thought the half moon was maybe like a cloud or something, because I think they kind of kept associating him with the sky, and they kept showing that shot of the cloud.
Well, the moon's in the sky. Come on.
Well, there's the sun, the moon, so night and day, and that's who the war is really between those two. And then there's just like the third one. Who's the third one? The clouds, because clouds are at night too. But the stripes, they each have stripes that represent like which sun they are. 1 stripe for the first, 2 stripes for the second, 3 for the youngest, the third. But
I like that the youngest just has 3 white stripes over a blue banner.
His are white, and the rest of them are black. And I thought that was just kind of like Akira Kurosawa being like, listen, I color coded this stuff. I used numerology. I used symbols. I'm using elements. You should be able to tell them apart by this point.
I think he had it like he left room for like just unique things. For example, near the end of the film, when all of them are on the battlefield, and you have like the showdown between one son who's all red, the other son who's all blue, and then you have the 2 warring lords that are kind of like basically waiting to see them kill each other off so they can rush in. They, other than their horses' brittles having unique colors, they're all in black. They're completely black, and they're supposed to be 2 separate, clans, but they're all black. So I thought that was kind of neat when you're watching the vibrant colors of the 3 sons who stand out, yet everyone else is just solid black and not showing off. It's almost as if like that's not who we're focusing on. I thought that was a neat pull. It pulled my eye. I thought it was neat.
Unless it was, they color coded some other things. The guys that had feathers on their heads, I don't know who they were, but I saw red feathers, I saw white feathers, so I don't know what their point is. I don't know the hierarchy of the military system at that time. But yeah, the color too, like especially at the end when like you bring up black, when they're getting raided, when they're raiding the last castle, it's completely black, which I would say symbolizes death, like the end.
Yeah, that's really what it felt like. I said it was heavily implied he died.
Yeah,
it's like, yeah, you're done, dude. You're done.
I thought you were talking about the dude that was blind.
Oh, him? No, I think he's honestly the only one that lived. I was talking about the son. So you
Oh, no.
all right? So look, you have
The son's dead. The son's 100%.
Yeah, you have the banishment of the youngest son. All right. Then you have the oldest son who's in a position of leadership that basically finagles his way of making his father give up all power, and then basically creating a war, then banishing his father and being like, yeah, now I got it all. Get the fuck out of here, old man. All that flattery and kiss ass I gave you was just bullshit, which is what the youngest son kept calling out. He kept saying that. He's like, they're just fucking kissing your ass. And like the old man starts to unravel because he sees it, right? Then they have that epic fucking trap that they set for the father. And, you know, both sons, the red and the yellow, they ride in together. And a stray bullet kills the oldest leader right off the bat. He got killed first. And honestly, I didn't see that coming. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
That was not a stray bullet.
Well, I thought it was the father. I was like, oh, good. You're going to kill your son. Like, cool. Good job. But then you have, is it Lord Jiro, who is the middle son, the one in red. And his second hand comes up, his vassal comes up to him and he's like, yes, it's a shame your brother died. He was shot by a stray bullet, as he holds a rifle out to him.
Yeah, like, it's clearly that
wink,
guy
wink,
that
I see
shot
what
him.
you did. Yeah, clearly. You just have so much treachery. And then, of course, you got that treacherous ass shit happening, like the second son doing all this shit, trying to steal power from his brother. Then he goes back to the castle. Now you have the brother who died, the oldest. You have his wife now trying to mess with him, be like, I'm not an idiot. I know what you did. Scared the living shit out of me. I wouldn't fuck with that one.
But you know what? It's also very believable that the dad could have done it, because there's that crazy ass shot of Taro's men that are harassing that jester guy. And then this fucking arrow gets him in the back, and they're like, where the hell did that come from? And the old man just like in the window with his bow, like has like the most serious look of all time. And then this like, well, I don't know if they cut away from him or if he goes back into the shadows.
He literally just goes back into the window.
And so, yeah, he definitely shooting people from the windows. He's not to be fucked around with, that's for sure.
Well, and that, I'm glad you brought that up. That is part of the reason why the eldest son was like, okay, like, so what? This is just a title with no like actual authority. Like, that was the moment he realized his father's still in charge, because his father shot one of his retinues who was going to kill the jester. But that's his father's jester. And he's like, you can't kill the jester for telling jokes. Like, grow a sense of humor, you idiot.
He's funny and I like him.
And you're dead.
He stays.
He stays. And so, yeah, it starts that whole thing. And all the while, you know, we keep talking about, I'm so sorry. I feel so bad. I've forgotten the character's name, but the lady of the house, I guess you would say the first son's wife, which
we'll call her Lady Macbeth.
Lady Macbeth. Lady Kide. She, all the while, is doing these like whisperings in his ear and like basically making him feel incompetent and, you know, playing with his male ego and forcing him to do that. And then she just does the same thing with Lord Jiro, the second son. As soon as he shows up, she starts doing that same thing, even after like seducing him and then like being like, listen, now that we did this, I'm not gonna leave this castle. This is my castle.
We fucked,
you need to kill
and
your
I'm
wife.
basically a wife.
Yeah, we fucked, so now we're married, and you need to kill your wife. And I love that, like that whole back and forth. And that poor woman, she didn't deserve that. They constantly going after that. The other wife, not Lady Kide. Sue. Lady Sue is is Lord Jiro's actual wife.
And she's one of the few ones where, I'll
she's
call
a
the
decent
second
woman.
wife.
She was completely decent.
Totally fucked over. Her family was all murdered and everything, just like the first wives. But she found God, more or less, so she didn't believe in vengeance.
She was just trying to live her life. And
she believed in Buddha.
She believed in Buddha. She wanted a life of peace, and she wanted to push forward peacefully, and she tried to learn forgiveness, even though, like you said, her whole family was killed. Her brother was blinded by Lord Hidetaro. You know, all this crazy shit. And that's another thing, too. You meet these characters that are just, they're so fucked up, and it's all because he did that. The great Lord did all this. He brought this upon himself, and it just culminates at this point. It's like he did all this, built this empire to give to his sons, and everything he did, it now just falls apart and shits on him. And I kind of love that symbolism. I thought it was really cool. It was very symbolic.
Sure. And there's also feels like there's a bunch of mini tragedies in this. The last time I read King Lear was probably 20 years ago, easily. So I don't remember any. I just know the broad stroke of the story, which is essentially this brother that had his eyes gouged out and more or less takes in the old man, even though it was kind of against his will. And they're like, what's wrong with you? Are you a woman or something? Like, why are you just in the dark? He's like, I don't need light. They're like, oh shit, dude's blind. And then you find out, he was essentially blinded by the guy. He's also, when I say tragedy, he's also the final shot of the movie where like he's waiting for his sister to come back who was murdered. And he's just like on the edge of this building and he almost like he trips and loses his religious painting. Yeah.
It's the image of Buddha to protect him that his sister gave him. And it did protect him in that weird symbolic way.
Well, it did at that time, but the last shot's him just standing there, and they're like, that's the character I thought you were talking about when you're like, we don't know what happened to him. And I was like, yeah, we technically don't. He might have turned around and went the right direction. He might have walked off the edge of the building.
Well, and, thinking on it now, too, the way, like we've been saying, everyone dies in this. There's no one left alive. They all fucking die. Even, like, their vessels, their right-hand man, their ladies in waiting, their wives. They're literally killing themselves left and right or being killed left and right. It's just the entire empire he built is just falling down around him. And I like that you're left with that ambiguous shot of the blind guy backing up and it's like, and roll credits. Yeah, I guess we can decide, do you want him to live or not? You can make the ending up for yourself because enough people have died. So it's your choice.
www.rand.jp. Vote if he lived, vote if he died. You can decide on next season. A lot of this movie takes place just out in empty fields, so it's only comes down to the costume design or the few tents or something that they throw up.
He had to save a budget somehow.
But he really uses that budget well whenever he has some of the castle scenes. Like, is it the second castle that burns down? Or that's the third castle that burns down.
Man, those castles and the battles are incredibly well done. They look great. Of the samurai films I've seen so far from Akira Kurosawa, because I haven't seen them all, this to me is probably the goriest one. I mean, it's really in your face. And we talked about in Lady Snowblood the over-the-top blood spray when they kill Lady Kide.
Yeah, Kaneda, they kill her, and it's just I love so that. Like, violent.
They just bring the sword down. It's just a massive shower the wall in blood. It wasn't like a little blood spray. It wasn't like in Lady Snowblood, like how it was
like a blood cannon.
It was a blood cannon. It was like her entire insides emptied out on the wall, and it was just so cool. I was like, this is great. Those battle sequences were extremely bloody. Bodies laying over rails, blood dripping down everywhere, dudes holding their arms that were cut off.
Yeah, the guy is holding his arm.
Yeah, the arrows, the way that they set up the arrow sequences, I loved how they shot these arrows flying and entering people. Like, it's old school movie magic, and it was just so cool to watch.
I don't know if it was movie magic, because he's like, in Throne of Blood, he's really shooting arrows at Toshiro Mifune, so I'm sure he really shot an arrow in the back of that guy that was attacking the jester.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I will say there were some sequences that I watched and I was like, I don't think they were safe, because I watched a lot of stuntmen on
there's dudes get like trampled by horses.
Yes, actually fucking trampled. I watched that one guy fall off. He got knocked down by the horse and
then every horse ran over top of him as he played dead.
Yeah, he played dead, and I saw one of the horses actually kick his leg, and I was like, oh, he got a broken leg. He had to have. Like,
he's knocked out. They're like, he's such a good actor. He commits. He's just
Kira's like, keep rolling.
He's blind. You can't tell, because it's like from such a far distance, probably. Even the simple stunts of that, where they're fighting to go up the staircase into the third castle, and the second they shut the door, they shoot like 10 arrows at the door.
Yeah.
The timing, if the guy couldn't get the door shut or something, they'd have got him. And all the fire and stuff, beautiful. I loved it.
Where he's walking out of the burning castle, and they basically, like, they all came there to kill him. And he's literally gone mad from everything. He lost his entire retinue. He lost all of his concubines, his ladies in waiting. He lost his entire private guard that he kept. Like, they murdered the shit out of everyone. And he instead of killing himself committing harakiri, he just went mad and just started walking away.
He tried to, but his sword was broken.
Yeah, that's right. His sword's broken, so he couldn't do it. I forgot about that.
That makes me think of, just in the moment, I immediately thought of the movie Paul. When Nick Frost carries that sword around, and they're like, that's a replica sword. It's going to break as soon as you try to use it the first time. And immediately, as soon as he pulls that sword out, it like breaks instantly.
Yeah, but like his concubines and everything too, they were like a human shield for like 2 seconds. So literally everybody's getting massacred.
All of
and they start shooting those arrows, and
And he just that they it's all done, it's quiet. He walks down the steps to leave, and they just both armies just part and let him walk out, and it's just like such a great shot, just him broken and be like, and what I love is all of this happens within, it's exactly at the 1 hour mark, because I ended up pausing the movie for a brief moment, and when I pause it as he's walking, it's all within the first hour. So like it shows you everything that just goes to shit immediately. It all falls apart, and he's broken and has nothing, and he's just a raving mad person who just walks away.
And it can't get worse after that, right?
No, you would think, but boy, does it get interestingly worse.
Yeah, just them letting him live.
Mm-hmm. And I will say,
at that point, the one son's dead already. The first son's already dead.
Yeah, Taro, that's his name. Taro is the first one. Jiro is the second son, and then Samburo is the third son. And what I like is after Samburo is banished, he just kind of disappears, but he has some people that still follow him and respect him, so they're looking out for his father, because the whole time all this shit is going down, Samburo is staying out of it, doing his own thing, but he's worried for his father. Even though his father banished him, he genuinely loved his father. He loved him so much he was willing to argue with him and tell him like, hey man, you're being fucking stupid about this. And it got him exiled, but he didn't care because he still loved his father. So I do love how relatable and likable Samburo is, that you root for him and you're like, yeah, I want them to have that reconciliation. I want them to have their moment of being able to talk to one another. And that's why when they, after the big battle goes down and he's able to finally get his father back, and they're basically, the war is over, like the battle's done, and they're peacefully making their way back to their retinue of soldiers. Out of nowhere, Samburo gets shot. He's killed by the assassins that crazy lady Kide had sent after him. That woman was sending assassins after everyone, because she sent assassins to kill Samburo, and she sent the assassin to go and cut off Lady Sue's head, which I thought was great. Like, she was just and I love when they confront her too. She's just like, yeah, I don't give a shit about any of this. I did it for revenge. You guys ruined my family, now I've ruined yours. And they didn't even waste time. They just cut her down, blood cannon the wall. It was great. She just straight up, like, no apology, like, did not give a fuck. I was like, dude, this was badass on her part. But I got ahead of myself. Back to Samburo being shot down with his father next to him. And he's weeping over him, being like, we never got to have our talk. You're not here to witness your victory. You're not here to forgive me. And I, like, the whole time he's just like, he's freaking out and he's upset because, like, he didn't get the chance to actually have a conversation with his son and like ask his forgiveness. And he ends up having a heart attack and kills over and dies. Like, everyone just fucking dies. It's wild.
His right hand man, which he called his right arm, he also banished at the beginning of the movie. And then he becomes Saburo's like
Tango was his name, I believe. Tango.
I wrote Tango the hand, even though he's just a right arm. He's not a hand. He's a right arm. But yeah, he was the guy that showed up, and he would be having these conversations with the father, like, I'm here on his behalf. And he's like, who? He's like, your son sent me. They're like, every time I mention him, he runs away.
Because of the guilt he has for knowing that he brought this on himself and he banished the wrong kid. He realized he was wrong. Every time they brought his name, it was painful to him, because he saw, it reminded him like he fucked up, and he knows he did.
Yeah, and then the other cool battle is like the final battle. I really like the way that it plays out. Like, what is he doing? Why is he still there? The brother retreats into the woods, and when they start to progress, they like attack them through the woods, and they're like, the line, I wrote it down, is just, the enemy is in the woods. Our superior strength is useless there. Like, that's got to be like some of the, I mean, maybe it just doesn't translate well, but it's not very good writing. Our superior strength is useless there. It makes me think of the Dudley Do-Right movie where they were rolling rocks down the hill to kill the bad guys, and they're like, this isn't fair. They have rocks. All we have are guns. But good tactics nonetheless. I thought that they were good tactics.
No, that was another thing too, is it all throughout this movie did a great job of showing how incompetent the older brothers were. Taro and Jiro were completely incompetent. Jiro was an opportunist that just like was greedy as fuck, but it constantly showed you Samburo was thoughtful, he was clever, and he was smart tactically, because like he was just always, I think they always showed him in a way where it's like, this guy actually doesn't really think about himself so much as he sees the bigger picture, and he's aware of everything. And I love how, you know, they have that moment, like you said, in the last battle where it's setting up, and it's like, even I'm watching and I'm like, this guy's going to set his brother up for a trap, because he knows his brother probably killed his other brother. He knows his brother is a greedy piece of shit and is basically going to kill him, especially when he tells him, like, hey, yeah, come get dad, and we won't hurt you, and you have to leave peacefully once you get dad. And he's like, we have dad, so he's definitely trying to kill me. You think, like, oh, he just shows up and you got these guys on the mountains watching, but it's like, no, he had men waiting in the tree lines. And I was like, because basically he leaves. He's not even there for that battle too. He leaves to go find his dad, because again, he's actually more concerned about his father than all this other bullshit going on. And Jiro's like, what's going on? I'm gonna go kill him anyway, and just rides down, walks right into his trap, and it's like he fucking just got his ass left and right. It was so
also
funny.
all the footage of like stunt people, officially stunt people falling off horses. It was like,
I sure hope they were stunt people.
they looked painful, especially falling off and like with the swords in their, or like the sheaths in their uniforms and everything. Like that had to be pretty painful. The one shot was really funny when all the horses ran by and then the people just fell. So like I imagined that they were up on like a rafter that was like above the camera, and then these people just had to jump to the ground and play dead.
Yeah.
Not in Akira's film, they just fell off a horse, plain and simple.
Some of them did fall off
Yeah,
the
they
horse,
were
but there was that
They
one
might have
shot.
actually died.
Yeah, maybe they did. All in the name of cinema. It's earned. We didn't say either. Like, Ran's like one of the few movies where it's the Japanese word for disorder.
Really? I honestly thought it was ran.
They were just
as
running
in the
around
English
a
term,
lot.
running away, because they're constantly running away from all this crazy shit.
And
Or,
I
excuse me, the dad is
ran.
the dad is constantly running away. That's what I thought. But that's cool. Disorder is so much better. I like that.
Yeah, so you're actually speaking Japanese when you say it.
That's great. I finally can say a word. I learned my Japanese. Yay. It was good. It was real good. But I also think it still plays, because even having not known that, the title, after having watched the movie, I thought about it too, and I was like, oh, the title makes sense to me now. But I was completely wrong, because I didn't realize it was the Japanese word for disorder.
I kept having that song in my head from System of a Down, just saying disorder a bunch of times. Like, I should know the title of the song. It's probably Disorder, but I don't think it
Chop
is.
Suey.
Is it Chop Suey where they say disorder? Disorder. Yeah. It is?
You putty on the wall. Yeah. Disorder.
It is Chop Suey. It's their probably most popular song.
Yeah. What the fuck, man? Come on.
And I thought it was something more obscure.
Yeah.
No, it's Toxicity. I had to think about it for a second.
Oh, it is Toxicity?
Oh,
Okay.
is Chop Suey
Yeah.
the name of the album?
No, Toxicity
No,
is the album,
Toxicity's
but
the
a
name of the
song.
album.
And it's the name of the song
It's
as
the
well.
album and a song.
Oh, well, you know what? Just edit this out so I don't look like a big fucking idiot. But at least I know it's in a song. Yay.
I'm just going to keep, at least I know it's in the song.
At least I know it's in the song.
That's what stays. Yeah, that's what stays. I love Kurosawa. I think there's a lot of other good ones in there, though.
The director of Harakiri
Kobayashi is
was
great
amazing.
for Harakiri. Did I say it right?
Harakiri?
Y'all do any of that hurry curry?
I didn't get
Harakiri.
to that part in Japanese yet. They haven't taught me about suicide yet.
You have to learn that.
You're like, you should know the
I need
fucking
a band
phonetics,
section.
which you're right. Yeah, I should. It's a little difficult, though, because it throws me off because nothing is the same way as it would be in English.
Well, once
Like
you learn the
Jiro
language,
looks like
then
it
you
would
can learn
be-
to read it and write it.
Learn to read. Yeah. Learn to sound it out. Who cares what if you understand it or not? So, but yeah, of all his movies, I think this might be one of the first one of his that I've seen. Maybe Yojimbo I saw first.
I can say honestly, Seven Samurai. That was my first Kurosawa film. Just happened to, and I saw it in my 20s. I happened to get a box set was left behind by a friend. It was like the Essential 4 films. So it was like Seven Samurai, Yojimbo, what's the other one? Sanjuro, and then one more. The one of his 4 essentials that were all around the same time. Did Yojimbo have a sequel? Was it Yojimbo that had a sequel? One of
It
them had
is
a sequel.
Sanjuro, is the sequel, which is honestly one of my favorite endings for a movie. For like a final showdown fight, it's one of my favorites because it's just, you think it's going to be this huge sword fight. It's like 1 second and he's took the person down. It's so great.
But yeah, I really like Kurosawa. But again, my taste goes more into, the exploit styles of samurai movies. I forgot to mention when we were talking about Lady Snowblood, there's another fun one that I liked that kind of was cool is the I think it's called the Lightning Sword of Doom or the Lightning Sword of Thunder. It's crazy. the power of the lightning sword, something like that. But it's one of those fast paced, like kind of like Sword of Doom, where he's just quick with it, just slashes them up real fast.
Yeah.
I've always been a fan of those styles. I really enjoy it. But like if you want like a good, moody, atmospheric samurai film that has a lot of emotion to it, it's Kurosawa all day. And something else I like is you're watching it, and even though it's in color and it's near the end, it's still a Kurosawa film. I think you could easily turn this movie into black and white and it would look just as fucking cool. The shots are still so incredibly well done.
It'd be hard to know who was on whose side, though.
Well, yeah, okay, you wouldn't be able to see the color that way. True. Well, maybe you could tell the difference between the red,
the stripes,
and the yellow.
Yeah,
one's light gray and the other one's dark gray.
And then there's this new gray that shows up at the end. You're like, oh, I wasn't ready for new gray.
It's the blue.
I don't think Redbeard is all that great. I mean, it's not his worst, but of his samurai movies, Seven Samurai is easily the best one. Although, you know, I think Yojimbo and shit like that, that's just like a nice hour and a half and straight to the point is great too.
Yeah, I'd say Yojimbo is probably my absolute favorite, but I respect Seven Samurai because it's the quintessential. It is the reason you have samurai films. And I know there were others before, but the way
there will be more in the
it,
future.
It's like he kind of opened, someone else gave birth to it and he opened the door, if that makes any sense. And then Yojimbo, I just like it because Yojimbo really vibes like a Western. It's very much cool cowboy, you know, wandering through a town. It has that kind of feeling, but it's a samurai. It's a lone Ronin doing his thing. And the fight sequences are just brutal, and I liked it. And I also think I like Yojimbo because it's focused on a singular character, whereas Seven Samurai, you had this big epic world you had to build, and you had 7 characters to focus on.
I wish you said that in like a not intelligent way. Yojimbo was like 1 character, and Seven Samurai was like 7 characters.
I mean, yeah, I can dumb it down for you, but that's basically it. That's why.
I mean, even Seven Samurai basically has like 4 main characters. There's like secondary ones that just
4 main and 3 secondary, but they're still just as important. And Yojimbo is just one guy.
And he's so fucking cool. Mifune is actually pretty cool in Seven Samurai also, but he's not like the cool badass. He's like the loose cannon. But yeah, hopefully if we're mentioning something that you haven't seen, go check it out because there's so many of them. And if you have probably Max, which would be more popular than Criterion Channel, they have a lot of the same movies there that are like... Yeah, go ahead.
Did we mention too about Tatsuya Nakata, the great lord in the movie, the dad? Did we mention his tie-in to all the films we've covered, and also that he's in a ton of Kurosawa films as well?
Yeah, he's in Yojimbo. But yeah, he's definitely the protagonist for.
I know we like Mifune, but it seems like I think by accident this month we ended up focusing a lot more on Nakade. God,
it wasn't necessarily by accident because I've been holding off on the collaboration movies with Akira Kurosawa and Toshiro Mifune.
Do you think do you think Akira made this movie as his note to his buddy Mifune since they were no longer friends or talking at this point? This was him being like, I'm the old man and you're the young son. We made mistakes. Am I going too deep with it?
No. I really like his Russian movie too that Kurosawa made. Desu Ursula? I don't know if that's how you say it. We get to a weird point in time where Akira Kurosawa cannot get anything financed. His shit's like too expensive. People don't want to see it. So he literally went to Russia and got this thing funded and filmed it there. It was at Cage Musha, and this is kind of a product of Cage Musha. I think.
Well, these were epic. How did he even get these funded if they stopped funding them? They're like, we're going to give you 1 movie a year. Pick it now.
He has a lot of people like backing him, like Dreams. I think Dreams is his next movie, and I know Martin Scorsese for sure helped fund it, but I think maybe Spielberg, De Palma. There's like another big filmmaker.
He got American Hollywood directors.
Yeah, Scorsese's cool. in Dreams, I think, like as an actor. He's like one of the characters.
I mean, I'd love a cameo in a foreign movie that I respect by a great director. I'd be like, dude, I don't even speak the language, but like, put me in there. I'll be background. I'll drink coffee at the shop.
The old man in the beginning of the movie falls asleep and he has a dream, and he talks about this dream that he had when he was alone in the world. And then Akira Kurosawa's next movie is Dreams, based off of dreams that he had. Maybe it was kind of like the tease for the next Marvel movie.
It's all symbolic. It's
And
all
Dreams might have
intentional.
like it might have like a samurai story in there, but it's just fucking weird. And I know most of it's contemporary. I want to say like there's like 7 or 10 different stories in there, a bunch of short stories, essentially how it's built
I
together.
haven't seen it, so maybe I should check it out. It seems pretty cool. And you know what? Honestly, it's probably cool to check out a Kurosawa film that's not samurai, just because I'm so familiar with the samurai films that.
Did you
it'll
see
be
Akiru?
refreshing. What is it? What'd you say?
Akiru.
I don't think so.
It's probably my favorite one. Probably definitely on Max too. Good chance. I'll text you it. It's probably, I think it's his best movie.
That's your favorite? Okay. I'll definitely check it out then. It sounds familiar. Maybe I have and I just don't remember, but yeah, I'll definitely watch it. And now, is that a samurai movie as well? Or is
Nope.
that okay, then I definitely haven't seen
contemporary,
it. If it's not a samurai
yeah.
movie, I have not seen it now. Because like Akira, I was like, why does it sound familiar? No, I have not seen that.
He's done a lot of like cop dramas. The one that he does.
Did he ever make a Yakuza mob boss type movie like Mikishi does? Takeshi Miike?
Not like him. Trying to think if he's had Yakuza in his movies, but like the
Yeah, I know
one
that, but like, Bull Natano. Bull Natano makes a lot of cool movies that are like mob style.
Yeah, he has one where a cop loses his gun and he's like, I'm gonna get fired because my gun's out there in the wild and guns are illegal. So
That sounds like the plot to Revolver, the movie by the director from the last film that we watched for Lady Snowblood.
maybe it's a remake.
Well, maybe.
There's another one that in that Tetsumoto set that me and the guy that did what's it called, Chuck? Tetsu the Iron Man.
Tetsuo
Wow.
the Iron Man, yeah.
Yeah, he has one movie that is literally like the same thing where this guy finds a gun and he's having like a power trip because, you know, guns are illegal and he's like, I want to go out there and shoot people and fucking crazy. Is that the one that we covered on the podcast or not?
He just made a day in the life of American citizens?
Nah, I don't think that was that one. That was just like a guy that got like beat up by punks, and then he goes back and gets revenge on them or something.
Chuck, you have completely faded away. I'm just seeing a black screen.
I'm just going.
I actually can see his titties. Oh wait, there it is.
Oh shit! There's a face.
That actually is a horror film shot that you know,
You just did a horror film.
Unfriended or something where it's just digitally. No one can see anything we're talking about.
Not right now. It's okay. I already got my clip. I'm gonna use the beginning where we talk about King Lear.
And you're eating.
Yes, and I'm eating. It's the best podcasters. They drink and eat while talking into a microphone. It's called being a professional, Justin.
And I mean, what's the best part of this movie about the themes and the tragedy and everything is probably, you know, what you do, your actions are going to come back to haunt you. So maybe be a good fucking person.
Fair enough. Chuck, what did you think about this? What do you feel? Did you like the King Lear aspect of this? Did you enjoy the bloodbath battles? Did you like
He loves
the scary
King Lear.
woman? Are you a Shakespearean fan?
I would not describe myself as a huge Shakespeare person. I think I've only read Romeo and Juliet, and that might be it. I don't think I've actually read any of his other ones, even in high school.
Did you see the
Yeah.
Vincent Price movie? I think it's Theater of Blood.
I've seen that, yeah.
Then you're a Shakespeare fan.
Yeah. He was more of an Edgar Allan Poe guy than some
Yeah,
Price.
very much so.
I think this one's pretty good. I wouldn't say it's my favorite, but it's decent. I think Rashomon's probably my favorite.
Thank you.
Kurosawa or Kurosawa
Rashomon is
Samurai?
that's the title I was having a brain fart on. Thank you. That's the 4 films that I own. It was Rashomon was the other one in the collection. Thank you. That is a good one too. That's a really good one.
And owning Rashomon is like owning 4 films in itself.
Yeah. It was like his early attempt at sort of an anthology, but not an anthology, but sort of an anthology.
The idea of perspective. Like, what was he doing? Was he just chilling and he just like, boom, epiphany. I got the perfect idea for a movie. As they say in the movie, in a mad world, only the mad are sane. And
Yep.
I would apply that to my own life. I'm not going to tell you how. Actually, I don't apply it to my own life. I just wanted to throw a curveball at the listeners.
It's a good one. It's a good line to end on.
And we'll be back next week with comedy.
Woo. Yeah, you guys have fun with that. I'll check it out. Thank you for having me on this month. I really love talking samurai films. I appreciate it doing the westerns. So thank you guys. It's been awesome hanging out. and maybe we can cover some crazier shit down the road again. Who knows?
Odds of you coming back are great.
You like my video clips, don't lie.
You don't have to do video clips for us. You would still be on the show.
Yeah, but I like doing the video clips. They're fun.
They are fun.
It's like, how do you make a podcast sound interesting visually? Well, you make a video clip.
You like the visuals? The episode's not going to be anything like this.
No, it's not going to be as badass as the movie, but we're going to try. We're going to try and bring you some entertainment.
Yeah, thanks for being on. You can plug your podcast, IPA Sessions. Go for it.
Yeah, IPA Sessions, podcast for independent artists. I put out episodes every 2 weeks. I have a new one coming out very soon. I probably, as of this recording, so when this airs, I guess. But yeah, go check it out. If you're interested in being a filmmaker or, a musician, an actor, you want to be a podcaster, but you're just not quite sure how to go about doing it, I have a ton of awesome independent artists that come on and talk about what they do, talk about the craft and how they go about it. And, they give inspiration and they show you that it's possible to get these things done. You don't have to have the Hollywood budget. You can be just like Akira himself and go to Russia and get funding if you need to. I don't recommend it, but there's always an option. Yeah, there's always an option. And that's it. Thank you guys.
Yeah,
it's been fun.
Jacob talks about the craft of filmmaking, and maybe one day me and Chuck will talk about the movie The Craft.
Yeah. Oh,
Stay
you know
tuned.
what? When this airs, I will actually be in San Diego at Comic-Con. So if anyone's at the Comic-Con convention in San Diego, come check out my panel of Production Assistant 101. It's how to start your career in Hollywood. So we've got some really great really great industry professionals there. And hanging out, and we're just going to be sharing our experiences. Very much like my podcast is the feel that I'm getting from what we're going to be discussing is kind of showing people like how to go about starting their careers and what to look.
Are you going to crack your knuckles and say, "I got this," and just take over?
Yeah,
I do this I do this bi-weekly, guys. I got this.
No, I've never done anything like this. I'm actually a bit nervous, but I'm also really excited. Plus, I get to hang out at Comic-Con as well, so that's really cool. I haven't been to Comic-Con since New Orleans around 2012, I think. So
I should put you in touch with my friend Warren. He does storyboarding, and he's been to quite a few, like on the panels and stuff like that.
That's so cool. Yeah.
Are you with anybody are you in Hall H with Christopher Nolan by chance or anything like that?
No, our panel is going to be at the Marriott across from the convention center because the real nerdy comic book people kind of booked everything up inside. But there's a ton of cool stuff that happens around Comic-Con. Just like in the world of wrestling, when there's WrestleMania, there's a ton of wrestling events happening all around WrestleMania. So at Comic-Con, when Comic-Con is happening, no matter what town you're in, there is going to be some kind of cool panel, some kind of cool convention happening around Comic-Con. I highly and it's all a part of Comic-Con, so I highly recommend checking that stuff out. If anyone ever gets a chance to go to any Comic-Con anywhere, check that out. It's really cool.
Me and Chuck almost went a road trip, but it all fucking fell apart.
Well, hopefully you can do it again.
What was that, like 2009, Chuck? 2010?
Probably.
Oh, it's been over 10 years. Get your shit together and go.
It's been a long time. We're old. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Bye. Until the next time.
Bye, Jacob. We're Cinema D'Amore. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter to stay up to date with news and information on upcoming episodes. Find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, Amazon Music, Audible, Pandora, Alexa, or iHeartRadio. It would be greatly appreciated if you subscribe to our podcast on your platform of choice. We also appreciate feedback, so rate us, review us, and let us know what you think. And above all else, thank you for listening.